Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Josh. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing my 2013 Ariel Atom. Alright, we're out on the road, and I guess the first thing I should address is my silly headset. The main reason that I'm wearing it is so that you can hear what I have to say, but I'm also wearing it to protect my hearing because the supercharger makes this thing really loud. This intake here just gives you tons of supercharger noise, which is great. But your ears tend to ring when you get out of it if you don't use hearing protection. I'm also wearing my funny fluorescent yellow shoes, and the reason for that is if you have big feet, and I don't like to brag, but I do kind of have big feet, you have a tendency to hit the brake and the gas at the same time. So you're going for the brakes and you accidentally hit the gas, and then the car's not slowing down the way that you hoped it would. That's not a fun feeling. We're on our way to Atlanta Motorsports Park, which is located in beautiful Dawsonville, Georgia. It's about 20 minutes away from my house, which gives me, I think, enough time to talk about what this car is, why I bought it, and what it's like to drive on the street. It weighs about 1,350 pounds. It's got a Honda K24 motor that's supercharged from the factory. It's also been modified to run E85. I've got a little ethanol content indicator here. And the previous owner claimed that it put 300 horsepower to the wheels. Other than that, it's pretty much stock. It does have an extender for the rear wing that kind of puts it up in the airflow a little bit more. And I put a set of Yokohama AO52 tires on it. Also, the previous owner added an aftermarket oil cooler to it, which keeps the engine temperatures down a little bit and allows it to run longer on the track without getting too hot. I've never had it overheat on the track. Something that's notable, I guess, about this car is that it does not have any assists. The brakes do not have power assist, nor does the steering. There's no traction control, there's no stability control, there's no ABS. So what you tell the car to do, the car does. And because the power to weight ratio is so good, it gets up and goes really, really quickly. When I first drove it, it absolutely scared the crap out of me. Like anything though, you get used to it. But you know, a fun fact is the McLaren 720S, which I believe weighs about 3,200 pounds and puts out about 720 horsepower, has a very similar power to weight ratio. But that car costs about $300,000. And new, these run between, I think, $80,000 and $100,000. I got mine used with about 2,500 miles on it for significantly less than that. And after a little over a year of ownership, we're up to 5,700 miles. So, what's it like to drive on the street? When I first drove it, my immediate thought was that this is like a four-wheeled motorcycle. For the most part, you're very exposed to the elements. This one has the optional windscreen, which if you don't want to wear a helmet when you're driving it is absolutely essential, I think. Without the windscreen, I don't think that sunglasses would be enough. You'd want goggles or like a motorcycle helmet. It is immensely capable on the street. The steering is practically telepathic. You feel a ton through the seat of your pants. There is no padding in this seat whatsoever. You're sitting in a hard plastic seat, and so all of the info that's coming up from the tires and the suspension is being transferred into your fingertips and into your butt. It's comfortable enough to drive on the street. It's not punishing. And the 6-speed Honda manual is really, really pleasant to use. The supercharger delivers power in a really linear fashion, and if you're not careful, you can get yourself in trouble really quickly. It does have a digital dash. It's easy to tell what's going on at a glance. It has shift indicator lights, so you won't forget to upshift, although I have banged it off the rev limiter a couple of times. do a little pull from 50 in third gear, 4,500 RPM. And that's 80. The brakes need to be heated up before they give you any kind of feel, but once they're warm, they feel amazing and they haul this thing down from speed with aplomb. If you really stand on them, it's easy to lock up the front tires. Narrow fronts, I believe it's a 195 in the front, and not a super wide rear, I think it's a 245. Because of the staggered setup and the fact that there's a ton of weight over the rear, I want to say it's roughly a 70-30 rear to front weight distribution. You've got tons of traction in the rear. It doesn't spin up the rear tires easily, but it can get a little understeery in the front unless your tires are warm. And I picked these AO52s specifically because it's more of an autocross tire and they don't need a ton of heat to operate well and grip. So we'll talk a little bit more about the street driving experience after the track, but we're here at Atlanta Motorsports Park, and so we're gonna get suited up, take it out on the track, and talk about how this car does. Oh, come on. Nice, thanks, dude. Good to go? Thanks, man. This is a car that you wear. It's communicating with you so specifically about what it's doing. There's so much detail in the feedback that you're getting. The sounds that it makes, the brake pedal feel, the steering, the seat, the suspension, it's just all telling you what the car is doing. And it takes a while to kind of get used to that level of intensity. Visibility, rear-wise, not so great. You've just got this tiny little mirror. I don't even really use the mirror on the passenger side, but the rest of the visibility is ridiculous. There's nothing blocking your view, including you can see the brake caliper, you can see the suspension moving, you can see the tire. If you're not careful, looking at that stuff can be a little bit distracting. It's not a car, though, that you necessarily feel inspired to like chuck around as hard as you possibly can. I think there's a sense that I have that my pet tiger really likes me as long as I don't hit it too hard with the stick. And I'm afraid of what would happen if it turns on me. The experience is so visceral. It's something where when you get out of it, you get out of the car after you do a session and you're exhausted, you know, you realize that all of your nerves have been kind of on edge, and so there's this sense of relief when you get out of the car. But you know, when you're not driving it near the limit, if you're just kind of taking it a bit easy, it doesn't feel like it's difficult to drive at all. There's something about a car that's capable, that feels like it's set up well, where it's just kind of like, hey, we could go faster. You want to go faster? was a 128, which isn't my fastest ever, but considering the conditions, I feel pretty good about it. This track is so twisty and technical. It's really well suited for this car, and I think I've learned a lot as a driver out here. I'm certain that a pro level driver could get a lot more out of it than I can, but it still makes you feel like a hero when you start to get the hang of it. You know, even a year and a half or so of ownership, lots of laps on track, it really doesn't get old. It just doesn't. Good car. I'm heading home from the track, and you know, the track driving experience is just so demanding. I mean, it's borderline exhausting to drive this thing on the track, because to drive it quickly, you really need to stay focused and engaged, and it's a bit of a workout, but it's very rewarding. And then driving home, driving on the street, you realize you are nowhere near the car's limits, but you know that there's this wild animal there that you could unleash, and it doesn't take much. Just stab of the throttle and off she goes. So it's a ton of fun on the street. You get a lot of attention. If you're looking for attention, you know, people point and smile and wave, but most people don't really know what it is, or they've never seen one before. So, you know, I tell people I like it a lot on the track. It is an intense experience on the track. It's very capable. On the street is where I'm sort of surprised by how much I like it. It's fun to just go for a drive in this, but it's just like completely impractical. You know, if you buy a Corvette, you can drive it when it's raining, you can go get groceries in it, you know, you can do everything that you want to do with a car in it. With this thing, not so much. If you've got a passenger, then that means you have zero room for luggage. Like, zero, none. There's this tiny little cubby under the front cowl, and that's it. You know, so if you're looking for something that has even the smallest dose of practicality, this is not the vehicle for you. You know, the use case that I had was, I want something that I can drive to and from the track. I can drive it to the track, turn in some really quick laps, drive it home. This is amazing. And if you want to take it up in the mountains and have a good time, it's fantastic for that. If you want to trailer it to a track day, put it on slicks, you know, get real serious about it, you can do that too. There's a spectrum of cars that can be driven to and from the racetrack and put in lap times, and this is at that end of the spectrum of very much track focus, and I think that's super cool. And I'm really glad that I bought it and that I've experienced it. It's just a super special car. I'm pretty certain I've never seen one drive by on the street. I've definitely seen them at car shows and events. It comes in a lot of different flavors too. You know, you really have to do your research if you want to figure out the exact right one for you. And I think the Atom 4 is a bit more refined, a bit more capable. It's got traction control. I think it might have a sequential gearbox available. So, you know, that's super cool. I think I would pick this one. Save the money, 6-speed manual, a little bit raw, a little bit nasty, but, you know, a regular person can learn to drive it within spitting distance of its limits and live to tell the tale. So I hope you guys learned something. I hope you had fun. I'm really glad you came along for the ride. Do me a favor, please like, comment, and subscribe. All that stuff really helps the channel. I'll see you next time. Hey, bud. What's up, dude? What's up, little dude? Hey, buddy. Yeah, I'm excited to see you too.